And developing tonight, angry reaction is building from a variety of groups over what is said to be a new plan from the Obama administration to monitor America's newsrooms. And not in the way that you monitor it from home on the couch. A much more invasive way. And Shannon Bream reports from Washington. Shannon?
Well, Megan, the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, wants to send investigators into television and radio stations to ask questions like this. What is the news philosophy of this station? Who decides which stories are covered? Well, the stated purpose of what's being called the multi-market study of critical information needs is to determine how media outlets make editorial decisions and how much time they're spending on several key topics the FCC is concerned about, like the environment. News of this proposed project so unnerved a group of House Republicans that they sent FCC Chairman Tom Wheeler a letter saying the proposal shows a, quote, startling disregard for the bedrock constitutional principles that prevent government intrusion into the press, adding the commission has no business probing the news media's editorial judgment and expertise. Attorney Jay Sekulow, who represents dozens of conservatives targeted by the IRS, says he sees a disturbing pattern.
It's very reminiscent of the kind of questions that were asked of my clients in the IRS matter that's currently in federal court. Same kind of questioning process of content, determination on point of view. And I think this government, this administration is bent on aiming and targeting those they don't like. And this is another way to do it. This time it's the FCC.
The study was conceived under the previous head of the FCC. There are reports the current chairman is considering tweaking it. Megan?
Oh, we'll look forward to that. Shannon, thank you. My next guest is calling this creepy. Katie Pavlich is the news editor at townhall.com. I mean, we had all this debate about the fairness doctrine. Is this basically the fairness doctrine in other clothing?
You know what, Megan, I don't understand why the Obama administration hasn't understood this idea that when the Department of Justice monitored the phone lines of journalists and their parents, by the way, that wasn't enough to them. Now they want to send investigators into newsrooms all over the country, whether it's broadcast or print. They have no business sending those people into our newsrooms. How we gather news is none of the government's business. And this isn't about the FCC getting people the information that they, quote, need, as they claim. This is about controlling what people say, and this is about intimidating the news through these, whatever you want to call them, navigators.
What kind of crazy talk is this? I mean, they're saying, okay, oh, and now we're going to take a second look at it. Whose brainchild was this in the first place? And it gives you a window, does it not, Katie, into the way they're thinking?
Oh, absolutely. And I just think it's such an asinine concept that the government bureaucrats are now going to be appointed to come in and monitor, professionals, editors, reporters, and decide the best way for them to gather news as if they don't know what they're doing. And then to try and shift the focus from certain stories to others. I mean, why is it that we need someone like that to come into the picture?
Yeah. Why? Let me guess. We've heard enough about Obamacare. We can move on from that story now. I mean, how would it actually work? Somebody's going to sit there, in our news meeting and tell me and my executive producer that you shouldn't lead with that. Let me tell you, this story over here on how, we think we're doing so great, that's what the people need to hear.
Megan, you just aren't covering what the people need, right? But, on another point here, it's really important to point out that we live in an era, the year is 2014, where we have more access to information than we've ever had in the history of mankind. And now the government is coming in through this, so-called regulation and wanting to say that they need to cater to the needs of people who maybe are being underserved by the news. We have more news outlets in this country and in the world than we've ever had, serving many different kinds of communities, many different kinds of people, many different kinds of, exactly outlets, catering to different, whatever. Anything you want to know about any kind of news is out there. So it's, none of their business to even inquire about how news editors and reporters gather the news stories and decide on what they're reporting inside their newsrooms.
Katie, good to see you. Let's hope it's true that they are reconsidering it and it won't happen.